given the way he worked last week, how important is it Bonzi's role going to be on Saturday?
Especially the post defense that he gave us against Okafor. You know, his length and his gangliness, you know, an unorthodox way of kind of draping himself on a guy really helped us. You know, and you get fooled, I think, playing against him. Bigger players get fooled playing against him because of his length. He can bother a shot or even block a shot from behind.
You mentioned last week, and then he also mentioned last night, he's not afraid of anything.
No.
I mean, go out and guard the #1 pick in the NBA draft. Go do this. How unique is that for a freshman who's only been around for a couple of months?
It really is, and I think it speaks to #1, you know, who his dad is and what he's been around his whole life. You know, his dad being an assistant at Boston College, him growing up in a basketball family. His dad was a very good player. Dad was a DC guy, and I remember him well. And then that I-95, you know, growing up playing the I-95 circuit, the AAU circuit, he played at the highest level of that EYBL. There's just so many things there that have him really believing he's ready. And, you know, those things started showing up in our practices for Italy. Just, I think it was him just getting a feel for who he is with us. And I think we've simplified the role for him. You know, I thought a great example of his confidence, he pulls up and knocks down that 18-footer in front of their bench last night. And he pulls up, and I'm thinking, but you know, the way he shot it, I'm thinking, that's another weapon. He can score. You know, he's always been a guy who's been able to score and score on bigger people. He frustrates our guys more than anything because he draws fouls in practice all the time. Connaughton fouls him all the time. He can't guard him. You can ask Connaughton. Tell him I said he can't guard him.
You talked about establishing an identity in this league. How much would that help in being able to go 3-0 in the triangle?
Yeah, it'd be really powerful, man. I mean, you know, when I looked at that schedule when it came out, I'm thinking, like, has anyone ever had to go through and play all 3 teams on the road, you know, since they did the old round robin and there were 8 teams? I mean, I don't know if that's happened much. I don't even know if we have any research on that. But for us to get 2 of them already, if you got 3, that'd be extremely powerful. You know, they're already talking about us a lot down there on Tobacco Road because of who we've beaten in the triangle. So, but that would add to it.
Getting back to Colson, when he first had that big game and we talked to him, he said, we asked him if he got nervous, and he said no, and it was very believable that he doesn't. I mean, did you notice that, certainly when you were recruiting him, that he wasn't impacted by anything like that?
Yeah, no, he's, you know, the thing about these kids that play that EYBL Nike circuit is they play against all these guys a couple times. You know, he's guarded Okafor in a couple different tournaments, you know, so when you play that circuit, I think it really gets you ready right away. And then the bloodlines, the environment he was around his whole life, I just think he feels it's his destiny to do it. And it was so neat in the Georgia Tech game when it was his coming out party to see in the second half how the older guys were energized by him. You know, when he got the bloody nose, they were in there pumping him up, and they were smiling, and he inspired them. And part of that is his personality. Like, he has got a great sense of humor. He's one of those guys, he can give anybody a hard time, and I think the old guys like hanging with him. They've almost brought him in to the old guy club as a young guy.
He literally had guarded Okafor before?
You know, I can't say that. I would think he has in the circuit. You know, you'd probably have to ask him that, but they play against these guys, so, you know, when they're thrown into it, it's like, oh, I remember you know, that tournament in Sacramento. I guarded them. I did pretty good. You know, they have a reference point because they see each other a lot.
You know, they played. This team has played at Syracuse, at Louisville, North Carolina. You mentioned North Carolina State and Pitt are tough. It seems like this is a different animal, though, and a couple guys even referenced it last night. Do you address it, or do you let the seniors address this environment that they're going to?
You know, the one thing I said last night was, you know, I'm really thrilled for this group to get to play in this venue. You know, the ultimate road venue. And, you know, I think I added, and we got to remember to stay in character and do what we do. But they'll be really excited to play. I just don't want them to get too revved up. You know, I think what happens in that place a lot of times, and I witnessed it from the home bench, is, you know, teams will get a little out of character or play too fast because of the crowd. Overall, we've done a pretty good job in loud atmospheres of staying poised. But I'm just thrilled that, you know, this team has put themselves in a position for a marquee game in that environment. You know, I'm excited for them.
Last month you talked about how Bonzi was so engaged while he was on the bench and not playing. Do you think kind of being mentally in the game already helps him be really effective?
Absolutely. One of the things we talked about as he wasn't playing as a staff was watching him on the bench when we watched game tape, and how into it he was and how pure he was. I think I mentioned in here, one of the things that was very painful for me as a coach, I didn't get him in the game at Mohegan Sun, and that was kind of his homecoming, and his whole family was there, and you're feeling like, just, you know, I felt bad about it. You know, he wasn't in the rotation then. We were playing differently. And but he was so good, and I think and I actually used him as an example with the team. The reason he was able to deliver when he was called on, because he was so pure and was such a good teammate and prepared himself for when the call was made, he was ready to go. And I think the older guys really respected him for that.
In Okafor, 22 and 17 last time out, is there anything you guys want to do differently?
You know, we just don't want them to get 32 and 22. You know, we have not been a team program that doubles. We crowd off of maybe who we can crowd off of, which that's a little bit limited, the way they shoot the ball. Our game plan's got to be similar. We don't want them to light us up from the three-point line. Different bodies on Okafor, crowding off the right guy at the right time, mixing in some zone. And then, as I said 10 days ago, we got to score that ball to escape there.
Is there a tougher place to play in the country, or maybe I should say, what's the second toughest?
Yeah. You know, and I haven't been in it in a while, but from watching, you know, I think it's probably the toughest place. It really is. And you know, the reputation of it ratchets it up for the opponent, too.
What's a closer, near second?
Closer, near second? Well, I'll tell you what, NC State has got a heck of an environment. Yeah, they got a heck of an environment, and I never experienced that building. I knew Reynolds, but I knew their fan base was rabid, so they just moved them in, and they did a great job putting the students close to the court. You know, Pitt's still a heck of an environment. You know, Pitt's a great environment. I'll tell you, one of the great environments from the old Big East was Marquette. You know, at Marquette, the Bradley Center, and their game day presentation, it's NBA-ish. You know, those are. And Louisville, the Yum Center's good too.
When's the last time you went back there?
The last time I was in Cameron or in Durham was, you know, we played there when I was at Delaware. I actually played pretty well my first year, an ESPN2 game. That would have been '96. I was back there in August, I want to say, of maybe 2003 or 4. Mike did a little coaches roundtable. And we all came in as former assistants. Hubie Brown was there. We had some other NBA guys, and it was a weekend where we all had a topic and we just talked hoops. That's the last time I was in Durham. I'd say that was 12 years ago. I've not seen all the new digs, you know, all the practice facility stuff and everything that they have. I heard it's just off the charts. There's new offices. You know, when I was there, the weight room was and training room was a separate building from Cameron. You had to walk outside. So to go lift, and some of those days in January and February were interesting, but they've got the whole thing now.
You talked about Colson's attitude back when he was on the bench. Since Martin Gavin has not been in the rotation as much, how's his attitude been?
His has been great. You know, I've been really. I'll tell you one of the things I told the team last night. The blue shirts. We did a little something different with the blue shirts with 2 days of practice. We really had them running Boston College's offense because, as you saw last night, it's a lot of fast movement with ball screens and dribble exchanges. And those guys did a great job preparing us, you know, and I wanted to single them out after the game. And I would say Martin's and Torres's frame of mind is just like Bonzi's was. And again, I think you have to keep talking to those guys and reinforcing that, and you can't assume, because human nature is human nature. But they've been really good and plugged in. We try and get them, like a day like today, where the main guys won't go hard physically, we'll get them extra stuff to keep them engaged.
Depended on your starters for usually 35, 40 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Do you worry at all about March or how to save these guys' legs?
Not really. I mean, one of the things that helps us is we have 2 buys coming up. We have 2 one-week breaks, which I think come at a great time, where we'll really downshift and get some rest and get our energy back. And then also, what I love about both those weeks, you get rest, but then you get maybe 3 days in a row of practice reps. Now, we're not practicing very long when we practice. We're on the floor about an hour and 15 minutes now. Now at this time of year, got to be really smart. But, our guys are in game shape. I think you just have to be smart about what you do the day after the game, and how long you practice now is very much a key.
With Zach, you singled out his defense last night. What do you think he learned from going up against Okafor the first time that he could use?
Yeah, I think, where he's still a work in progress in post defense, but his feet are so quick, as you saw last night. When he gets up and shows on a ball screen, he's got great feet. I want to get those feet as good at not giving up an angle when a guy tries to spin off him. And Okafor is the ultimate spin off you guy. Really, Bonzi did a better job of that than Zach. But we'll watch some film of that, and we've done some stuff in these 2 days of practices getting him reps at that.
Is there anything that, confidence has been kind of a swing word with this team. Is there anything that can shake these guys?
I don't think so. I think they're really a very confident group, very secure with who they are. As you've heard me say, I think it starts with our seniors. Those 2 guys have control of this thing, have taken ownership of it. It's been interesting to see Demetrius Jackson add to that kind of confidence and swagger. And I think in the last 2 weeks, Vastoria has become that quiet, confident guy as well.
Talking to Zach last night, asked him about the possibility of defending Okafor again, and he said that he kind of used the last time as a learning experience. Do you think that your big men in general kind of take this as the ultimate challenge because your guards get so much pub?
Okafor's got to guard my guys. Okafor's got to guard my guys. And if they're playing man-to-man, he's going to be in a lot of ball screens.
But they kind of established 7 guys.
Yeah.
And this isn't as much as saving their legs as maybe a game situation. Do you feel, is it too hard to get an 8th guy in the way these guys play together right now?
It's been hard in that, the way Bonzi and Beecham play for us, I don't want to sacrifice any of their minutes right now. Here's the other thing. The way Vastoria is playing, he was at a clip of maybe like 25 a game. The way he's playing now, we may need him on the floor more. So, but my mindset is Bonzi and Beecham, what they can give us. Let's give them as much as we can right now. And again, I think the challenge is, as a coach, is keeping Gavin and Torres engaged, because there's going to come a time, and it could be Saturday afternoon, where we're going to have to throw those guys in there again.
Are you able to get in the building?
We are. We're going to practice tomorrow night at 6. We're going to leave here, not going to do anything on the floor. I've liked the fact that we'll get down there, and obviously you don't have time for a shoot-around on an afternoon game on Saturday. So we'll probably practice. We'll be there 6 to 7 tomorrow evening. So it's good our guys get in the building. And I don't know if any of our guys, maybe Jaron played down there when they had the Bob Gibbons AAU tournament. They used to use Duke and Carolina. But none of our other guys have been in the building. I mean, Rod's been in the building. Anthony Solomon's been in the building. I think they're Ofer in the building. Swanigan actually was there on an unofficial visit to see a Michigan game. He told me, he came down there. His coach used to work the Duke camp a lot, so he came down there as a young guy. But Martin Inglesby said, be interested to see the place. It's a neat place. It's got a lot of character, and again, for our guys to do what they've done this season, to make the Cameron experience is great no matter what, but given where we are in the standings and, God, they're breaking in the Final Four TV crew on us and everything. G. Hill and Rafter, you're doing the game. We got the A-list, man. It's the A-list.
Do you
Grant Hill, when's the last time you saw him?
I saw Grant. I saw him at the Final Four. He was around the Final Four a little bit last year, but I stay in touch with him a little bit. And, you know, certainly I was telling Bill Rafferty, we were talking about the game. He said, you know, he said he's working with Grant. I said, well, you know, he's off the charts, good guy, obviously a great player. That was the longest home visit I ever experienced. Amaker, Mike Kay, and I were in Grant Hill's home with his family for 6 hours. We did a 6-hour home visit. We were showing videotape. We had dinner. Grant, I'll never forget, Grant went up to study, and we hung out with Calvin and Janet. Of course, we had Calvin telling Dallas Cowboy stories. He's just got what a super family. It was neat being around them for 4 years. And Grant, you know, a guy like Grant doesn't stay 4 years now. I mean, we had him from, you know, back in those days, those guys, Leitner, Hurley, and Hill stayed 4 years. It's unheard of now.
Standing a minute ago, do you talk to the team at all about where you guys are?
I haven't yet, you know, because we're in this race. I'm sure they talk a little bit about it. We've kind of been just inching along. You know, we were kind of in bounce back mode and February improvement. But, you know, if we can keep taking care of business, I think you can bring that up here maybe shortly.
How much of a concern after what they did here was George Jones and Cook for you?
Yeah, they're really good, man. I mean, you know, you got to get them under control. And, you know, I mean, you feel you can absorb Okafor, you know, and as long as it's not 30. But those other guys, you know, if they really get rolling, we've really got to be aware of them. And I thought we did a great job on Cook in the second half. He was crushing us in the first half. And overall, we did a pretty good job on Jones. I thought Demetrius was really locked in on him. But those guys can go. And I think Matt Jones now, with Solomon gone, is going to get more and more confident because he's getting those minutes, and he can score the ball too. I think they found the right role for Winslow. He's the four-man. You know, as the second big, they downshift, play a little smaller. Their spacing's better. He's been able to drive it, and I think he's back in a rhythm right now.
You mentioned Gavin and Torres. Given Okafor's struggle at the free throw line, is there a chance that those guys might come in just as 5 fouls?
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, but Bonzi and Zach, you know, one of the things we've done, not just with Okafor, but when we've played against a big guy that can score but is not a great free throw shooter, we've talked about in our scouting, if you have the opportunity, he's got you beat, bang him and make him earn it from the line. I mean, we'll talk to our big guys about that, but it's nice to know you could go to a Torres or a, yeah, I don't want to outthink this thing and overcoach it, but, you know, we did have some strategic, Bonzi had a strategic foul on the baseline last game, you know, it put him to the line. So, you know, we were getting 2, they were getting 1 there for a while out of his free throw. So it's something you keep in mind.
How different is it now for you when you go on the road in the league? Before you go on the road, the conditions at that city would be worse than it is here. Now when you go to a place like Carolina, it's 65, it's sunny, there's no snow. It almost doesn't seem like it's a league game for you guys.
I tell you, and it's really refreshing. You know, I got a little sunburn in Raleigh. I swear to God. We played at night on Sunday.
It was like 65.
It was 60 degrees. There was a Starbucks, and I got a Starbucks, and I'm sitting outside, and the sun's hitting me, and I'm kind of going, oh, I could be in Newark, New Jersey, you know, Syracuse, New York, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you know, Philadelphia. It's kind of been refreshing to fly into that. You're not thinking weather problems like you would, only maybe coming back into here. So I've kind of liked it, quite frankly. And, you know, I don't mind hearing a Southern accent every now and then. I spent some time below the Mason-Dixon line. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.